Eggs is a podcast about all things creative, regardless of what that means to you. From the creativity involved in launching a business, building a brand, crafting an entertainment career, or whatever, we talk about the process of growing your egg from start to finish. Today's show is brought to you by Goodside Skateboards. Go to www.goodsideskateboards.com for great deals on decks and awesome t-shirts and pretty much anything you can think of. Well, not quite. Anyways, enter Egg Show, that's EGGSSHOW, when you check out. And get 20% off? Yeah, I think it's 20%. Anyways, Egg Show when you check out to get 20% off at goodsideskateboards.com. Also, don't forget to check out our friends at Deli Fresh Threads. They're a Florida-based clothing company. They specialize in t-shirts and other apparel. And they celebrate what they call the King of Meals, the sandwich. Check out their website, delifreshthreads.com. And make sure you enter Egg Show when you go to check out for 10% off. That's EGGSSHOW. Get 10% off when you check out. All right, delifreshthreads.com.
We gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew. We gon' make it all happen right here, right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. On this week's edition of Eggs, we've got recording artist and maybe my new favorite singer, Desi Valentine. If you're a fan of the TV series Suits, you may be familiar with his track, Fate Don't Know You. Desi entered my world more recently as his song Hit the Ground Running was used by our agency in a national TV spot for a large healthcare client. Originally from Catford, London, and more recently hailing from sunny Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Desi Valentine.
Hello.
Hey Desi, how are you, man?
I'm really great, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing really great. Thank you for taking the time to do this with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, seriously.
Yeah, this is so great. So Desi is on his way through. He plays Portland tomorrow night, Salt Lake tonight, and was kind enough to give us a little bit of time before sound check. So we're
so
really
if you hear some
for
kick
that.
drums and a bass guitar in the background,
you'll know why. We're literally sitting in the green room of the stateroom.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in because we have kind of limited time with you. So you're originally from London. Can you tell us a little bit about your early days, where you come from? What are some influences and things that steered you towards music and performing?
Born and raised in Catford, London. It's about half an hour out of the centre of London. I grew up in a house full of music. My mum and dad were huge music heads. Vinyl records from the floor to the ceiling with every different style, all the way from Edith Piaf to, Ella Fitzgerald to Bob Marley, really
very eclectic music taste.
Yes, bathed in a lot of different type of music. And I initially... I started actually just like singing and dancing and those type of things when I was 8 years old. That's when I first got into it. I first started doing...
So did you play any instruments, or was kind of singing your main thing?
Singing was always my main thing. I only ever started learning an instrument over the last year. I started playing the piano.
Nice.
Yes.
Are you kind of going the classic style, or more of like improv kind of?
I'm doing a bit of a mixture of everything. So kind of having like one classical piece to learn, one like cover pop piece that I would do, like I would cover, and then learning my own original music, how to play that on the keys as well.
That's awesome.
Great. And you do your own writing, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, that's awesome. So in 2009, you dropped your first album called Back to Me. Can you tell us about the process of getting that made, any challenges you had to overcome and things like that in the production? Now, we were talking earlier before the show, and we realized we've come quite a ways since then, but since this was maybe your first album, I thought it'd be interesting to touch on it.
Well, Back to Me I learned so much making that record.
You collaborated with a guitarist, Mose Tronchi. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Mose Tronchi.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oof, I'm glad that
Italian
was him, not me.
guitarist.
I'm probably going to slaughter a bunch of those today.
So me and Mose came together and created an entire album, but it was very, very different style than what I make now. It was really inspired by rock and roll and rock music and digging into like blues and that kind of even experiencing metal music for the first time, and like the White Stripes and Creedence and all these different types of twists on rock and roll music, and really inspired me at the time, and that's the type of album that I ended up making.
So being from England, are you, and maybe you can't speak for other people, but are artists generally inspired by American music, things like that? Just, I mean, it seems like most of the things you're listing off seem to be sort of American classics. Is that something that inspired you early on?
For me, yes. I mean, I grew up with a lot of that type of music. I think, well, just because my parents were particularly into that, so I think like a lot of American influences came through.
So like the Sam Cooke and the Otis Redding and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's just from your parents. I also noticed that you were into Mozart and like Bach and classical as well, which I don't know how that would influence the music you do now, but I could totally relate. I played classically when I was a kid. So,
oh, really?
I spent hours learning all the Turk by Mozart.
Oh, man. It's so... The pieces are beautiful. I learned a lot from this being soaked in classical music, and I think it genuinely makes your brain function better, like in general, and like the intricacies that go into classical music. I mean, you can't help but grow as a human being, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mum particularly was very much into classical music as well, so we would play the vinyls of the classic records as well.
Well, and so that's sort of your background, right? Because from a young age, you trained as a musician at the Italia Conti School of Performing Arts, which I suppose is a classical school, right?
Well, it's actually more of a musical theatre kind of style of training. So they really train you very much in singing, dancing, acting. They do music theory, and they kind of ground you in that, so you have a strong music knowledge in general, but it's geared and shaped to be more of to go onto the West End and Broadway shows rather than that.
So for those who don't know, because I didn't know before today, West End is essentially London's version of Broadway.
Yes,
right?
Yes, sir.
Well, and so speaking to that, so as you came out of the Performing Arts School, you moved into theater, performing in the original West End production of Mel Brooks' The Producers, and also you played the lead role in Fame. Can you
Tyrone Jackson.
Can you tell us about the, I guess, going from school to performing at such a high level? Because I mean, that's no schlubs performance there. Those are big roles. And then sort of what that experience was like versus where we'll go next, which is transitioning into music.
Well, it's highly competitive, that world. You know, you really have to be... You're only as good as the audition that you do, you know, so that all of the training that you go through is basically preparing you to be able, at a moment's notice, be able to perform these really challenging songs and be able to pick up dance routines and do both of those things at the same time and embody acting skills and bring these stories to life. You know, producers in particular was we got to work with Mel Brooks himself because it was the original cast of it.
Oh wow! What an awesome experience that must have been.
It was. I still can't believe it, and it was, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you know.
Before
it's still,
all this is going on now.
This completely different lifetime. And to learn from those people, you know, I was 18, 19 at the time, working with Mel and Susan Stroman, these incredible people. You can't help but see how much expertise and
knowledge they bring to the table.
Knowledge, and it's really incredible.
Well, and at such a young age, that had to be incredibly influential.
Yes.
Even though your sort of next step in your career path was transitioning into a music career versus a theater career, I have to imagine the experiences you took from that will last throughout your career.
Yeah, I bet it still has an effect on your show today, just your live show. Yeah.
Big time. I mean, that's really where I learned to truly be comfortable on stage and to be able to connect to an audience in that respect. But it's just a very different thing when it's your own story and your own songs that you've written rather than bringing somebody else's story to life, you know?
Yeah,
so,
that's got to be completely different.
It's a very, very different thing. But I learned so much. Doing the shows. But there's really nothing like performing your own music.
Yeah, I can imagine. So in 2012, you decided bon voyage to London and came over to LA and started kind of trying to hone in on who you are and your own music style. And I read somewhere that you had a mohawk and you went through kind of like a rock pop phase, and you kind of just took a little while to kind of figure out, this is what I do, this is who I am. And Adele's 21 had a huge influence on that?
Big time. Because I'd made the album over in England, Back to Me. It was very rock influenced. It was very guitar led, and it was still a pop it's still a pop project because I'm definitely a pop artist. But I was drawing a lot of influence from Creedence and even Lenny Kravitz and those types of things. So when it came to, I wanted to fully embody that style, so I had a completely different look. That was my way of expressing myself at the time. I was coming backwards and forwards from London to LA, and I was starting to make the transition. And it was just at that moment that they dropped the 21 album by Adele.
That was in 2011, I think.
2011.
Yep.
And I listened to it, and I was so completely moved that it's such
that
an
kind of changed the face of music at the time. Nothing else like that was out.
It was just its own beautiful, raw, and like encapsulating like what it was like to put, like, literally pour your heart out onto a record and let it just be vulnerable for everybody to see it. It really moved me, and I was like, I can make music like this. I think that this is the next step for me. It just organically, I was searching at that moment anyway. I felt a little bit lost musically as to what was going to be the next thing for me. And it just fit into place, and it kind of penny dropped on many levels, because people had said that to me over the time that I was making like the rock music and doing that kind of thing. People were like, what you should do? You should do like a Amy Winehouse-y kind of thing. You should do like a throwback thing or whatever. But me being a stubborn bastard that I am, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That sounds like a great idea. You grab me a baked potato, I'll meet you there. But ultimately, it was right, because that's what my voice belongs to,
you do have a very unique voice. I haven't heard anything similar to it ever.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I really do like it.
Yeah, so now this is a little bit more of a philosophical question. That's a tough one.
Big word, John.
However, and maybe you don't have a good answer for it, so feel free to just give me the middle finger and say move on. But so one thing that I think could be valuable advice from someone like you who was making this music in a way that you thought, and through inspiration of Adele's album and just other things happening in life at that time, you sort of were able to find your groove and fall into it. I think a lot of people have a hard time and struggle trying to find their identity and figure out who they are. They're busy trying to people please or whatever it is. And I wondered if you had any advice or anything that helped you along the way in sort of discovering who you are, because I mean, and anyone who listens to the music, it's DesiValentinemusic.com. Anybody that listens to the music will feel like this is right. I mean, I don't know how better to say it other than just a feeling, you know what I mean? But when you hear the music you're producing now, like this is the music Desi should be making. And I wondered if you had, you know, like, I guess what gave you the confidence to just sort of find your way and then go? And I know that's like kind of a big question, so if you don't have a great answer, it's okay. But
you have to trust your gut. You have to listen to it, because otherwise, you know, everybody's got an opinion as to what you should do or what, and everybody's dealing with their own thing. You've got to listen to your own instincts. You've got to listen to your own heart and go with it. Because even things along the way that felt like everything was kind of falling apart, everything had its place, and everything is a part of the story that it needed to be, and the lessons that you need to learn along the way. But I'm just glad that I stuck to my guns and did what felt right to me at the time, because ultimately it led me here to the right place.
Yeah.
So
well, and I sort of agree with that. I've always sort of said that it took every day up to today to get to where I am now. Meaning, you know, I've basically made right choices, wrong choices, whatever, but it took all that to get to where you are. And so I think that's, you know, good advice. Just stick with the gut.
So have you always been kind of like poetic or writing lyrics and stuff like that? That to me seems like something that I would have a really hard time sitting down and like, okay, I have an idea what I want to write, but how do you get the words on the paper? That's a whole nother thing.
The writing side of things for me, when I'm growing up, I used to love writing creative stories, like huge imagination, and I wasn't particularly great at the grammar and punctuation and all that stuff because I'm dyslexic. So that bit was the really difficult thing to overcome.
Does that have any kind of like effect on your performance? Do you ever kind of throw words around and not realize you did it, or?
No, honestly, I've got a pretty strong handle on it now, but growing up it was tough, you know, because I knew I'd basically write sentences that were like, you know, 30 words long with no, you know, punctuation or grammar into it. But what I always naturally had was the ability to weave words and tell stories. I used to like read the dictionary because I was fascinated by words. I still am. I've always had a love affair with words since I was a little kid. So that kind of, when it came time to start writing music, that bit was, if anything, it was learning when not to write. Yeah. You know, when to actually just shut up and say 2 words instead of writing 20. Yeah. You know, and that was one thing that I really learned along the way. 2 words can be infinitely more powerful if they're the right ones.
If they're used correctly versus trying to
explain them with a million words. So yeah, that I still love it now. I have old school lyric books, so I'd never use a computer to write my songs. I've got 3 different volumes now.
That's
I'm
awesome.
on the 3rd one, and just to write these stories by hand and it means a lot to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So it seems like as you found your groove, you started producing the kind of music that, in my mind, you were sort of meant to do. It seems like everything sort of started to culminate or started to work out in 2016. It seems like that was maybe sort of a pivotal year for you. You toured with Andre Day.
Yes.
You had a couple hot songs. You had Forever Mine. You had Rise Up, getting more than 17 million plays on YouTube.
No, that was her song.
No? Oh, that's her song.
That was her song.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't write the notes.
I kind of put it together.
But anyway, so on road with her, she had taken one of her breaks and stopped to see if there was anything she could do to help you out. And that seemed like sort of an influential moment or an important moment in your career. Can you talk about that or tell the story around that?
Definitely. Andrea is possibly one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. Not only on stage as a songwriter, I loved her record, Cheers to the Fall. Really huge. I mean, honestly, I couldn't stop listening to it for 3 months back to back. And when it came time to actually really work with this amazing artist, I was poised and ready to just learn as much as I could from her.
What's this? So you also, in 2016, you also had the opportunity to play at O2 Arena with Elton John.
That wasn't 2016. That that was quite a long time before.
So you did that before?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, if you were to pick and choose between the two, which was your favorite? I guess you can't really do that. They're both two different experiences,
so
completely
different.
Yeah. How was rehearsals with Elton John? I mean, was that just you show up, here's your lines, sing along, and try and harmonize, or was it kind of an actual?
That's what it is. Because when you come into a backing singer gig like that, that's really what it is. I wasn't going on a tour with him. It was a huge concert at the O2 for New Year's Eve 2007. And it was just a small group of us. So you just got to know it. Be there, get ready. They go through it real quick with you in the rehearsal room, and then next minute you're on stage doing sound check
in front of 20,000 people.
That's it. And then then that night you're performing. So,
wow.
There's never been a stage. I mean, I've never been on a stage that big anyway, but. That makes you feel so tiny. I felt like an ant.
Yeah,
I literally did, because you can't even see the back of the auditorium. It's it's so huge.
Wow.
And it's beautiful as well. The sound is incredible. Very humbling moment.
So you mentioned that, or in some of the stuff I read, you mentioned that was a highlight of your life, and that it's also a goal you're working towards.
Oh, big time. Big time. I mean, to stand on that stage in your own right, with your own music, with arena full of people that respect and love your music and what you do. I mean, there's nothing really better than that.
Even just sharing the stage with somebody of Elton John's ilk, I think is, got to be quite an incredible experience. And not to go too far backwards, but talking about the album that you did before, you recorded it at the Berry Street studio.
Yes.
Which, of course, Elton John has recorded at, but also Freddie Mercury and Radiohead, just to name a few. I mean, what did it feel like, I guess, to sort of be in the company of those kind of people? This is years ago, of course, but I mean, that's a iconic studio to have recorded a song at. Did you, could you feel the ghosts of the people there? Was there some inspiration from working in a studio like that?
You can really feel the residue of great music being made in any of these notable studios of historic, that kind of
you always
epic.
hear the Abbey Roads and things like that, and this is kind of one of those. And so I mean, as a young musician at that time, I mean, it had to be, had to feel pretty awesome at the moment.
Of course. I mean, there's certain things along the way that all of these things that we've brought up, they're just humbling. You've got to learn from them, and you absorb the energy of those experiences as well.
Even just the recording process itself, I'm sure some of the producers you've worked with have taught you just large amounts of things just because of the recording process you go through. So
I mean, I'm still learning. There's still so much to learn, and the whole point of all of this is to draw from what's been in the past and what you and learn from that, and also be making the next thing. All of the people that have influenced me were trailblazer artists. What they did was so unique, and nobody done it before. So now we're so far into music as 2017 that trying to create really interesting new sounds and new vibes is ultimately the goal, but still paying homage and respect to what has come before.
Right. Well, so in respect to that, so your genre is sort of a little vintage and a little, a little bluesy and a little, it sort of pays homage to those older things. However, at the same time, I feel like it's still kind of cutting edge, and maybe it's just your sound that makes it sound kind of fresh, it sounds like something different, but it is sort of in the spirit of the Amy Winehouses and stuff like that. What do you think about sort of that dichotomy, right, between the old and the new, and are we cutting edge if we're sort of vintage, and what are your thoughts about that genre of music and what that's got for the future?
Well, I think that there are a few artists in the current pop world that are bringing a little scoop of that right now, but for me personally, I didn't want to make an album or make a record that sounds literally like an Otis Redding record, you know, you want to, because that's been done, and it's been done to the nth degree that it could possibly be done by. We're trying to be innovative now and have fresh things to talk about, and I'm drawing from my life right now, the things that I'm dealing with as a young man in 2017. So it's not gonna, I want it to feel fresh. I want it to feel that, you know.
On that note, I actually want to compliment you on a song I heard today, and it actually really got me going, and that's Love Is Love. And I just want to say thank you for writing that, because it's an awesome song.
Oh, thank you
so
so
the backstory
much.
on Love Is Love is that it was sort of a response to the Charlottesville riots, and but it was sort of written in such a way that it's not about the politics of the situation. It's more about just finding your humanity. You mind talking about that song a little bit and sort of what inspired you to move on it?
Of course, absolutely. I mean, there's been a number of these really tragic events and really illuminating events where you look at how far we've come, but in some ways,
much farther we have to go still.
And then there's so far to go, and there's some people that are still holding on to so much hatred that I genuinely don't understand it. I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it. But to see, like neo-Nazis walking the streets in 2017, marching with torches, I was like, this is come on now.
Yeah.
Like, and me and the other writer and producer, Rune Westberg, we came together and we was talking about, and we were like, we've actually got to do something, you know, and the most powerful weapon that we have is we are writers, you know, we're songwriters, and we have the ability to put things out there in the world that people can sit and listen to, because something's got to get through to these people that have a very skewed vision as to what good or bad is. And like, ultimately, I'm like, we're all human beings, and why can't you just live and let live? I don't understand why you have to bang down somebody's door with a flaming torch to be, I'm like, come on. Like, so that's what Love Is Love is about. And we wanted to explore the story of how people get to that mindset, and how, because you're born to, you love people naturally, but hate is the thing that's taught.
It's taught, yeah.
You know, and we wanted to put that into words and tell the story as to how somebody can really, how somebody would really get to that mindset. How do they get that? How this personality trait designed and fed, you know.
So not to get on too deep or dark of a topic, well, let's lighten it up a little bit. Also back in 2016, Fate Don't You Know was picked up by Suits. Don't know you. Oh, sorry. Dyslexic kicking in there. How did that, I mean, you wake up one morning, you're on Spotify's top 50 chart, and how to change your career.
Yeah, I thought this was a really funny story. I think you were quoted as eating a hot dog at the burger at 7-Eleven, driving for Uber, and you've got a song in the top 50. Like, can you talk a little bit about that experience? It's sort of that, you know, duality of being top of the world and bottom of the world all at the same time.
It still to this day, it's probably one of the most like baffling and confusing times, because I really was like broke. Like, I had a bartending job, but they closed the club that I worked for. I'd booked to play Bumbershoot Festival for the first time.
You were rehearsing to open for
Blondie.
Blondie.
Yes.
That had to be like, did that actually go through, or did it?
Yeah, I opened for Blondie last year.
That's
actually
awesome.
Here in Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Yes. It was incredible. Really, really like a beautiful amphitheater outlet. Oh, I can't remember the name of it there.
Oh, probably USANA Amphitheater, maybe.
No.
Or Smart Home Arena is another one of the hot spots here, one of the bigger spots. I'm trying to think.
I will remember.
I think it was the USANA
is.
Amphitheater, actually, because I vaguely remember seeing some signs for it.
So there was, all of that was going on, and a highly stressful period of time, I will say, because being broke and then trying to go out and do these huge things, and And just as I was coming back from that whole situation, I was working for Uber because I didn't have my bartending job anymore. And I had zero money. When I tell you, like, I was like, okay, so you got $5 left on the last credit card that's not maxed out. Use $2.50 for gas to keep on Ubering, and then use $2.50 to get a hot dog from 7-Eleven because
I tell you, Costco's the way to go. You get the $1.50 and you get the
Yeah, but the problem is, but they get you with the membership.
That's how they get you.
So, but anyway, just to make sure that we actually, share some facts on this show, it was the Red Butte Garden Amphitheater.
Red Butte, that's
which is
the
a
one.
beautiful place to play.
That's it.
And I have to imagine working with Deborah Harry was like one of those opportunities, like an Elton John, in that world of people. I mean, what incredible people you've had the opportunity to work with.
To genuinely have like a chat with Debbie Harry, like that, I was like, what is going on in my life right now?
That's got to be one of those moments where you're just looking from the outside in, going, "I'm sitting here next to her."
It's not.
We're just talking on the couch.
I'm just like, hey, look at you. You changed the face of music.
No big deal.
Big deal. It's all good. She was really sweet and complimentary and lovely, amazing to work with. I mean, just to kind of stand side stage while they were performing, these songs that you're just like, hey, yeah, that's Call Me. And that's not a cover, people. That's actually performing it.
Well, it had to be incredible. I mean, I've known a number of bands who've toured around or whatever, but I mean, when you're with, acts that are bigger than you or maybe more well-known, it's one thing, you're on the side stage of somebody that people have heard of. But when you're on the side stage with legendary people like the Elton Johns and the Debbie Harrys of the world, like, I can't even imagine what that feels like. Like, I mean, because the range is so huge.
Yeah.
It's got to be, at one point, you might feel sort of small relative to her or whatever, but at the same time, you have to feel like, damn, man, I made it. Like, look at me. I'm standing here, that's got to be such an incredible feeling.
It definitely was, and ultimately every act that is big was small at some point. They were the opening act at some point, or they were the
Sure.
undiscovered one. You just have to remember that everybody pretty much has been where you're at now, and it's how you earn your stripes. It's how you work your way up. That's the pecking order hierarchy of things that. You get from being the opener to being the headliner to being headlining something bigger than, and if you're very, very lucky, you get to touch music and change the face of music like these people have.
Yeah, that's just incredible. So as Mike started to get into, Fate Don't Know You was picked up by the season finale of Suits,
yes.
which is a TV program for anybody who doesn't follow it. And since we sort of started out at the top of the hour or top of the show talking about the commercial that you were in for this agency that I worked with, can you talk a little bit about, and we don't have to get real heavy into this, but I think for aspiring musicians or anybody who's just trying to figure out, have an understanding of the music business, because it seems so glamorous from the outside. I guess corporate stuff like this is where the money is nowadays, but how do artists make money? How do artists survive nowadays?
Well, film and TV licensing is a new frontier thing it's always existed, but it was not a thing that was looked at as a way for young artists and up-and-coming artists to, number one, get a bit of exposure, as well as actually start making money from the music that they create, because that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest challenge. Like people, for the first 9 years of me making music, it was only me pouring my money into it. Like I was bartending so I could afford to put money, so I could afford to pay the musicians for this, or pay for the rehearsals, or pay for studio time, and so it's only took 10 years for it to start paying me some money back. That's just the way that it is. But with film and TV licensing, there is a way now for for people to get heard and to get paid for what they're doing.
Well,
and
it seems that might be the more sustainable or that long-term money. The stuff that sits around, it's not just the, guarantee you get for playing that one night, but it's actually kind of, especially if you get into a movie or a TV series or something like that, it could be sort of long money that helps you later in your career.
Yes, definitely that.
So now I wanted to talk to you about one of the songs that has quickly become my favorite is the song Asylum. Can you talk at all about that one and, not to get too behind the music, but maybe give me a little bit of backstory on that one? Because I really enjoy that song.
Well, Asylum is actually written about a friend of mine that genuinely would believe his own lies, like really, like actually believe them. And it was so convincing to me that I was like, did that actually happen? Like, he believed it so strongly that it was enough to make me question myself. And it kind of spurred the idea on as to like what it would feel like, because I'm dealing with somebody that they think that I'm lying to them, but I'm not.
But you're not.
But
yeah.
I'm not. But the levels of reality in it, where you're like, it's like kind of like the Truman Show kind of thing, where it's like everything around you, what if all of a sudden somebody turns around and it's like, no, your name's not Desi, actually, weirdo.
Wait a minute,
your
this
name's
whole time,
Stuart. Something like that, and it really played on my mind for like a little while, and I started. I wrote down in my little notebook because it ended up being like a real situation that exploded, and we're actually not friends anymore, unfortunately. But I was like, he doesn't believe. What is it like to write? And what's it like to be looking around and everybody else is telling you that you're lying about things when it's the truth for you? Mm-hmm. And that's where it started, and we planted the seed. Me and the producer I wrote it with, Nick Capel. He wrote this really dope, like he had this like he created this sample, like this screaming gospel sample thing that he did, and we built the song around that, and it just had this kind of like eerie, kind of funky, deep beat to it, and the two things were like a match made in heaven, like the concept of and we ran away with the concept, obviously, this person ends up, in a psychiatric facility, so we took it to the nth degree, but that's where it was written from, and very, very much from a true place, So
as a more of a vocalist, a singer, and not necessarily a musician growing up, can you describe your writing process? Do you work a lot with the producers to kind of come up with, they kind of listen to your lyrics and think, hey, let's try this riff and kind of go from there, and then just kind of it comes together? Or is it harder that way because you have to work with another person to get the music out?
Well, for me, I write in a number of different ways, because sometimes I'll be given the music and I'll be given the track, and I will create and write the lyrics, the story, the melodic content, and basically create that part of it. But most of the time, I work closely with a producer, because it would be like a producer-songwriter hybrid.
Is this over like drinks at a bar, or is this in the studio?
No, in the studio. Yeah. In the studio.
Drinks in the studio.
Yeah, yes.
There we go.
So most of the time, I'll come with a concept of a story that I want to tell. So I'll basically be able to explain that to them. I'm sufficient on the keys now, so I can at least gather ideas and start building melodies that way.
I'm sure you took a lot of music theory in classes and stuff like that.
Yes.
So chord progressions and all that.
Yeah, so I know how to build and write a song, but the producers that I end up working with, they know the sounds, and they know other instruments like guitar, bass, and kind of getting that. And we start building it together around this concept, and we start shaping this story, because the music is so much of a storyline as well, so if it doesn't fit and it doesn't like make it feel like it's organic and natural together, that they fit together. It's about using your kind of between both of you can kind of figure it out and shape it.
Is there I'm sure that working with producers and other artists, it's got its ups and downs. Have you ever had horror stories of working with a producer where he's just telling you, no, you can't do this, we got to do something else, scrap that, and you're like, no, I like that?
I've been really lucky. I've had like 1 or 2 sessions that for whatever reason it just didn't quite gel and work, but I've been writing songs for so long now that it's like you can find some way around it. Like if there's something in the room that is stuck, we can find a way around it. It just means the difference between it being like a good song, a great song, or like a dope song that you're like, whoa, I can't believe we wrote that. You know, and the best bit of my job as a writer is when you're on your way to work, the song doesn't exist. And by the time you're driving home,
you can listen to
it exists. You know, it's a new and amazing thing that you're like, hey, this didn't exist when I was eating breakfast this morning, but now it does, and it's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So speaking of songs, you've got a new single out, "My Worst Enemy."
Yes, sir.
I guess we've got a forthcoming album at some point. Can you talk a little bit about the new single, sort of the story behind it, where we're going from here in terms of music? Do we have an album coming? I think I read maybe first of next year sometime.
So it's actually going to be an EP first. So we're not going to do a full record straight away. So the plan now that My Worst Enemy is out and about, number one, I love My Worst Enemy. It's probably one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I feel like I was vulnerable, in a very vulnerable place when I wrote it, and it was just like it's quite funny because you can see how much of your own ego just gets in the way of like kind of your dignity and sense of self. You know, you get to a certain point in life where you're like, okay, I know who I am, like my feet are on the ground, like I know my strengths, weaknesses, my ups and my downs. But when you have like a crush on somebody and you're in something and you're romantically entangled, all of that seems to just go out the window, and you're like, what happened to the man I was? And that's very much what My Worst Enemy is about, because it's like that feeling, you know, of being stripped away of like who you know yourself to be it's kind of crippling a little bit, you know. It makes you feel like you're like, hey, I thought I learned some things along the way, and somehow all it takes is this one person that's an object of your affection, and you've forgotten it all.
Well, and I think that's a sentiment people can relate to, right? I think everybody has had maybe one of those my own worst enemy sort of moments.
Yeah,
I'm
you know,
to...
it takes a moment of introspective looking to find it oftentimes. But I think, I mean, everybody can relate to that experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to analyze the lyrics now and try and pull it out.
So cool. All right. So you said EP first of the year.
EP, yes, that'll be it. It'll probably be about 5 tracks, but I've been writing solidly for the last 3 years now, and so I have piles and albums worth of material. So the biggest thing is going to be getting this EP out and really shaping a sound for that body of work, and then that will inform what a full record or a full album is going to be, because I love all the songs that I've written so far and put out, but I think I'm just when it comes to albums, I want it to be like a full story, like a whole experience. I don't want it to just be like, hey, this is a collection of the songs that I wrote for, I want it to be a thing that takes you on a journey, because they're the albums that really inspire me.
Start to finish, you don't want to stop.
Absolutely.
You're listening to the story and the plot of it. It's like almost watching a film.
Exactly, and it unfolds, and by the end of the album, you're like, that's dope, and you want to press play again from the beginning, So
that's awesome. Other tour plans? Anything? What's next next year look like for you? Have you started mapping that out?
So I'm starting to look at the European market. So because I know, obviously, I'm from England.
Sure.
You know, the UK. I've got fans there now. I've got fans there now when I don't live there. When I didn't have fans there when I
Barely
did.
selling out a coffee shop.
So exactly. So I'm like, so I definitely want to go back. I want to be able to perform in a place where my friends and family can actually come and see what I'm doing. And obviously Europe is an amazing market. So because of Fate Don't Know You, that song went all over the world and it went to the tops of the charts of a number of these European countries.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean, Suits was pretty highly rated and spread around, and you know, now it lives forever on the internet. So I mean, in theory, people will be able to listen to it like crazy, and hopefully discover the rest of your music from that.
definitely has been the case. So it's now I'm getting messages from fans all over the Europe being like, when are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming?
How has that changed your outlook on your music and your, you know, what you're working for? The fact that now you have hundreds and thousands of people who know you, and it's got to be different. It's got to have changed something. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Well, it just feels like your voice matters now. You know, now you have people that are taking time out of their day to listen to what you have written and what you have to say, and it's escapism for most of the time for a lot of people. I know that music is that for me. So it's cool and humbling, but
do you feel kind of like claustrophobic, kind of like you kind of got to get away and do your own thing because it's kind of too much?
I just kind of ignore it most of the time, just because I think that's the only way to just keep
a level head,
sane and just to be normal. You know, that's it. Because the bigger that you get, the more you're gaining fans, you're gaining people that really care about it. But you can't become skewed because of it. You can't start believing that your word is gospel. It's like, no, you've still got to keep your feet on the ground and just stay true to who you are as a person. And I think that the only way to do that is to not let the enormity of it, like, you know, warp your mind.
So you mentioned earlier that My Worst Enemy is one of your favorite tracks.
Yes, sir.
If you were to pick your favorite track through your whole catalog, do you have one that stands out more than others? On the spot, come on.
I'd have to say it's Fate Don't Know You. Yeah, it really did. That song changed my life, and I still can't believe that we wrote that. Like, I still can't believe it. You know, I listen to it and I'm like, no, you didn't write that. But yeah, you did.
Well, it's always cool when you analyze a career and you can see like a distinct pivot point for yourself. So you can say that song, I mean, it may have been important to you in your experience, but that song's important to a lot of people. And so, I mean, not only was it pivotal in your career, but because of the exposure it got, it was really able to sort of introduce people and really change the landscape for you.
Yes.
So that's got to be an exciting moment. So one last thing I want to ask you. We've got about 3 minutes till sound check, so we better let you out of here. I always like to hear, and I don't know if you've got any of these, but I always like to hear if you've got any fun, like, life on the road stories. Like, have you encountered anything crazy yet? Have you had any good experiences, horror stories, anything you'd like to talk about just sort of life on the road?
So life on the road, honestly, is pretty... One thing is trying to eat well is the hardest thing in the world. Like, I've literally taken to eating bags of spinach by hand, like
that's all you can get.
Literally, because I was like, I've got to get it. I've got to get it in me somehow. You know, I live in LA where, you know, everybody has kale salads for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and now, you know, I'm having gravy on top of cheese, and, you know,
whatever truck stop food you can find.
Exactly, and it's like, so that in itself, and just washing the whole thing down with a bottle of apple cider vinegar, I'm like, okay, it's great.
Well.
Time to go.
All
That's
right.
it. Hello.
Okay. Well, with that, let's just get to Desi's plugs. I think they're ready for him.
I think that's his.
Yeah, they're very impatient at this point. So catch Desi Valentine online. His website is DesiValentineMusic.com. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Desi Valentine. And on Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Desi Valentine Music. Any last things? Any plugs? Anything else we missed?
Just if you're still around and about, check out the Vintage Trouble tour that I'm on right now. We've still
tomorrow,
got
Seattle the next
Portland,
day.
Seattle, Vancouver, Petaluma. We're back in LA at the Wilton, and we finished the tour at the Fillmore,
wow,
the
what a
legendary
place to
Fillmore in
finish.
San Francisco.
Wow.
So yes,
That's
please check
fantastic.
it out. Come and check it. The Vintage Trouble are incredible. You're going to be in for a real show.
Yep, so great. Well, anyway, we're very excited to see the show tonight. Desi, thanks so much for taking this time. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
So, and with that, to sign off, you can learn more about me, Ryan Rogar, and my company, R2 Media Group, at r2mg.com.
You can find me at djontic.com. That's ONTIC.
And you can learn more about the show and follow along with this fun ride we're on at eggscast.com or at eggshow on Twitter and Instagram. With that, Desi, thanks so much, man.
Thank you guys so much.
Everybody have a great week.
Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. Calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now. I said calling out to all area crew, we gon' make it all happen right here, right now.